important in those moments. Not
Yeah.
that they were important in general basis, no.
Yeah.
But in those moments, they were more important, and they need to have some priority over things. And this
Yeah.
is what we have learned. At least I have learned. I cannot give him still, but I have learned
Yeah.
from him that we need to evaluate. We need to understand. We need to re-examine things on regular basis, like what is important right now. This is what actually natural flow is for me. When you understand that what universe is demanding right now, what is appropriate right now, what is important right now, what is more important than what we were assuming, which was important before. And
Yeah.
this is what the going with the flow of the universe. So for last 2 days or 3 days, the flow of the universe was giving us something different than doing life to focus on, and we did. Of course, who are we to not say yes to universe? Because it's
Exactly.
a big huge, it's a big huge force, and we have to be with the force. And force need, if you want force to be with you, you have to be with the force also. And this is what we were discussing just before the live with such a wonderful friend, and we were discussing so many things. And Sil shared a story. He didn't actually share it, and he says, "Okay, I'm going to share today." This is a story of magic. Magic, not in the sense that he just said abracadabra and took out the rabbit from his head. No, actually,
Yeah.
the magic of awareness, the magic of understanding, the magic of learning and growing, the magic of not assuming things. There are tons of magic in this story. This whole story is so magical, but not the
Yeah.
conventional magic. This is a real, true magic of the universe. When universe
Yeah.
directly communicating with you.
Yeah.
Of course, universe communicate not in languages like we use, but universe language is different. It You can understand the universe sentences via incidents, happenings, via people, via wind, via any other natural resources,
Yeah.
and so many other
Well.
signs and symbols also.
Yeah.
We can understand, and also the most important thing, universe communicate with us directly from our own heart.
Yeah.
If we don't cloud it, if we don't just overlook it, we can understand what universe is saying to us. But of course, our focus and our attention is always occupied, overly occupied with other things. That's why it is difficult
Yeah.
for us to understand what is coming from inside of us, because it's all about oneness. This is the topic today, oneness, and this is the topic of this whole way of impeccability and moreness. Oneness, not just with that, okay, I'm going to feel divine about myself, that I am the universe and universe is me, which is true, not false claim. This is also true. But the oneness with each other also, oneness with everything and every aspect and every dimension of this world around us. Sometimes they are not very pleasant, even though it's all about us. This is the part we need to pay attention. And this is the part we are going to focus on today. And Sil will share his magical, full of magic story of winning the lottery.
Yeah. Yeah. Ah, gosh, I was trying to get the recording done for the transcript, and I couldn't. All right, so I got a bit behind in doing the sharing. I'll share in a moment. I'll share in a moment.
Okay, no
Yeah.
problem.
I
No
just got to
problem. I can I
refresh a
can
little
I
bit
can
here.
I can discuss, of course,
Yeah.
share more while
Yeah.
you're busy with.
Is
I was
Norma here?
assuming that
Is
I'm
Norma
taking too
here?
much
I
time.
haven't I
But
haven't
this
been
is
able to send
this
Norma the link.
I have no idea.
Oh, oh, you
Okay,
can't
I
see the
cannot
chat.
do, I cannot say that because my bandwidth is low and I cannot be on Facebook
Oh,
and
oh,
on Zoom simultaneously.
oh. The story I'm going
So
to
you need to
share.
take care of this.
Yeah, well, I'm just gonna do it in a moment. Yeah, it's all right. Uh,
Mhm.
oh gosh, I got the whole title there that I posted in was oh gosh, all wrong.
Oh, okay.
It didn't copy the thing that it was meant to copy. It's like, hello, what is this doing here? It's just one of the titles. It wasn't even the title, it was a search I was doing. Yeah, anyway. Too funny, too funny. I'll fix it in a second. The story I'm going to share is a core story from Way of Impeccability. Why is it a core story? Because it illustrates and demonstrates so much about impeccability. Not just about impeccability itself, but the necessity for impeccability and why it is such a premium and why it is so important and why it is so key. And also, this is a deep story with many layers to it. Also, that this story indicates, or not indicates, sorry, reveals, demonstrates, reveals, shows why impeccability is not the end point. That we have to be on guard, even though we are impeccable, and doesn't mean we are aware. Right? And therefore, this story reveals an underlying moreness to matters. A deep, deep, deep moreness. Yes?
Yes.
This is a big deal. This is a big deal. It's a very big deal. That there's a deepness to things that we must constantly strive for. Now, I say must, at least I feel that it is useful and valuable and imperative to strive for, to understand that deeper moreness. Yeah. There's a magical moreness to things. Yeah. Magical moreness to things. All right. One moment and then I'll be there. All right. Let's get out of this. And there we go. All right. All right. Come, Norma. Come, Norma. Oh, where did that go now? I don't know where that window went. It was open. That's very interesting. Very strange. I lost my window. Oh. Oh, I don't know what happened to it, but we'll fix it in a moment. All right, I'll screen share in a second, yeah, and then we'll get into this. Sorry for the delay, yeah. Well, it gives Norma time to come. Bina, you've heard the story before, so you know
Yes.
what it's about. But
Yes.
this point of the deeper moreness, you know, that yes, we listen to the story, and the story sort of has its obvious truths, its obvious awarenesses, and then there's those deeper takeaway awarenesses, yeah, that are such a powerful part
That
of these type of stories. Yeah. What happened, Bina?
Yes, yes.
Wow.
I
All
was
right.
just saying that, okay, when once you started trying to put this AI, it is actually giving lagging, a lot of lagging into your network.
Yeah, well, the lag was there, which is what made it difficult for me to do that. It didn't actually start. I don't, there's nothing there. It had a link for me to click to say, okay, monitor, but now I don't see that. And I don't know how to get it back. Oh, all right. It just is what it is. Too bad. Too
Okay.
bad. No, I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know. It's just an oddity now. All right. I'm just closing all windows here and getting to the one. Oh, dang, more windows to close. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. And I had that story over here. All right. Very good. Here we go. Here we go. This story is called Winning the Lottery.
Yes.
Winning the Lottery. Screen share. There we go. A little slowish in getting connected here, but we get there. We get there. How it goes sometimes. You know, the universe has its own pacing, right? And that's why patience is such a superpower, because when we are able to adapt our pacing to that of the universe, it's incredibly powerful. Incredibly, incredibly, incredibly powerful. Winning the lottery. Eska. Okay, if I win lots of money, you and E should go to Bora Bora with us. Have you been? So that would be cool. And no, haven't been. It's a little fun introduction to the story. Eska. Me either, but it would be fun. I probably haven't told you, but I will win money while it still exists. I have always felt this since I was 4 or 5. It sounds silly, but it's not. And why exactly is knowing something silly? Well, most people laugh at me, but I don't mind. Yeah, I laugh at me too. Eska, I just love you, by the way. Thanks for thinking I might be a most people, says Sil. Teasing Eskable. Lol, oh, didn't mean it. So you want to hear a story? Yeah. The young man and his heart. Ooh, I'm listening. Follow the dictates of spirit, which led them to move to another continent. The nature of the laws at the time allowed them to take very little with them, barely more than the cost of the plane's ticket to the new land. I'll make this a little bigger. Oh, well, that's going to be a lot bigger. All right. On arrival, they spent what little they had on looking for new business opportunities, but they had no paperwork and little capital. As the few potential options they had failed to materialize, and it soon became apparent that something drastic would be needed, they decided they would just have to win the lottery. Eska, oh! So now one might think this is exceedingly foolish. However, for the young man in his heart at that time, it was nothing of the sort. Eska, I totally agree. Yay. So one might ask, but why did they not simply decide to win the lottery right away? Why make the effort with the usual types of business and so on? I'll say the end when done, by the way. Oh, I'm just telling Eska because she from previous stories, she would jump in before I was finished with the story. Libo would do the same thing. And they think it's the end, but then there's more. So I'll say the end when the story's over. Eska, not me. I know that we think as we are conditioned to at first until we don't. KK, should I be quiet? No, I love the comments. For the young man in his heart, they had changed their way of living to live wholly according to external input, or the universe or spirit. This, however, did not mean that anything was taken for granted. This did not mean switching to a mindset where one did not do things for oneself. Eska, right. You can be guided by spirit to do anything. That's what I love about it. So the young man in his heart believed with every fraction of their being that one has to use the world sparingly. They believed and practiced saving their chances for when they absolutely needed them. Eska, use the world sparingly? Can you elaborate a little on that? So, because they knew that doing anything was a function of one's personal power, something precious, and not to be wasted when ordinary means would achieve one's goals. That was a crucial understanding, Eska. Thank you. Using the world sparingly was a mindset they would always have. It meant never being wasteful, never taking more than needed, so never being greedy. It means never expecting anything at all, nothing. To them, they had no right to anything at all, even life. Everything was a gift. Whatever one got was the greatest gift, because really, all we had was nothing. That is the alternative to life. Eska, I understand the depth of gratitude you are speaking of. I am quite satisfied with little also. So, life is a precious, precious gift to be savored and appreciated. Yes, there is magic in the world. Life is incredible. But that magic cannot simply be used to indulge oneself. There is a point and purpose to life. Being frivolous runs counter to that point and purpose of life. This they always innately understood. As their resources ran out, they came to the point where they had no more options. They had put massive energies in trying to figure out what to do in their limited situation and with no capital. Within what they knew at the time, they had stretched and tried everything. That was not to be their path. Eska, oh no, what happened? So, their decision to win the lottery is thus not one that comes about in the mood of, hey, that will be fun and easy. No, it came about as a consequence of them simply not having any other options. Eska, right, makes sense. Lottery can be expensive though. So they consciously and deliberately decided to win the lottery. This is no simple and idle decision. It involved putting themselves on the line, as it were. They were investing themselves into this decision. Decided is perhaps not really accurate. It was more a feeling, knowing that this was the path, capital P path. Winning the lottery was to be what they would do. It was an internal knowing, an internal certainty. There was no wishing or thinking it would be nice, or hoping or such like. It was a certainty of intent. Eska. Right. And Eska, patient. Get to the story. Hold on, Eska. There's a lot to the story. Hold on. I love Eska. I wish she'd come on Zoom. So, because winning the lottery is something for nothing. But they knew it doesn't really work that way. They could engage in an act of will to make the lottery win. This they knew they could do. They had done it before. But this time was not needed in such a but this time that was not needed in such a specific way. The idea just came at them. It came as a certainty. They knew without a shadow of a doubt that they would win the lottery. This kind of knowing they had had many times before. Never once had they ever been wrong. This was a knowing that goes down to one's very core. It was not a belief. It was much more. It was utter conviction. This is why buying a lottery ticket was not a regular decision. It came. They knew they would win, and that was that. It was not something one chose. It was something that happened. Their only decision in the matter was to go along with it or not. Go along they did. Thus, they decided to buy a lottery ticket, just one, because of course that was all that was needed. Eska, wow, more. They never considered buying more than one ticket. Why? That would be wasteful. One could only win with one ticket. It would be more than a week before the draw for the lottery ticket. It was one of those mega jackpot lotteries. They waited with patience. and never 1 ounce of doubt. It was simply a matter of time. Esker, ooh, so exciting. So the night came. They sat themselves down in front of the television. The young man has his trusty red pen handy to mark off the numbers. Esker, multiple smiley faces. The first number was called. Check. The second number. Check. The third number. Check. Esker, come on, lol, wow. Esker's comments. That's why I've told the story in different ways many times, but I love this one with Esker in it. Impatience. The fourth number. Check. You got 5 numbers right or all? Wait, Esker, wait. The fifth number. Check. Esker, wow. So the sixth number. Check. Esker, ... waiting for more. So, but wait. Esker, go on. So, when they had bought the ticket, they had not looked at the number. There was no need. They had thought it was 6 numbers for some reason. But at the conclusion of the drawing, the sixth number, conclusion of the drawing of the sixth number, it soon became apparent that there was more. There was a 7th number. The 7th number was because of the mega jackpot. Well, they didn't know. It didn't matter to them. They simply waited for the 7th number to be called. They waited to check that one more. The 7th number was called. Wrong! The young man in particular was devastated. The young man in particular was devastated. How could this be? He checked and double-checked. There was no mistake. They did not have all 7 numbers. The young man was not devastated because they didn't have all 7 numbers. He was devastated because that inner feeling of certainty had been wrong. This had never, ever happened before. It would be like the sun not coming up. It was impossible. But no matter how hard he stared at that 7th number, it stayed wrong. Esker, well, can't win with some numbers? So this was a monumental happening. Never before had this happened to them. Yes, Esker, we'll come to that in a moment. Never before had this happened to them. Never before had that feeling been wrong. They had been so sure they would win the lottery. They had known it as a fact, but yet it had not happened. Esker, bummer. So what happened? So then what happened? So not one to mope or stress about reality, they took matters in stride. It had, of course, always been a chance. One they were certain would go their way, but it seemed the universe had other plans for them. Esker, I also mess up my lotto sometimes. Though I don't play much anymore, but once I played every week. So they had bought a cheap used car while they were searching for business opportunities. They could no longer afford to stay where they were. They had no more money. They did the only thing they could, look to the universe for direction. Esker, yay! Clapping, jumping up and down. So the universe pointed them to the highway. They put their last $6 they had into the gas tank and set off onto the highway, not knowing where to or how far, but they had trust. They had impeccable trust. Esker, wow! Oh, I love it. Go on. So this journey, a literal and figurative, profound journey, was the start of many, many wonderful, marvelous, and magical.
I feel that it has way much more than what we assume. Yes.
Yes. Where did I
Okay,
drop
so
off?
you're back?
Where was I? Yeah, where did I drop off? At what point in the story?
Okay.
Yes, I'm
No,
back.
it was just a second.
Oh,
So yes, you
all
can
right.
continue.
All right. The screen share again.
You're breaking still.
Yeah. Right. I'll just give it a second and it'll come back. This journey, a literal and figurative, profound journey, was the start of many, many wonderful, marvelous, and magical adventures. But those are stories for another time. Esker, oh, I just want to tell you one thing. You and E have stolen my heart, and you are top my favorite people. Oh, thanks, Eska. So, all through those adventures, the young man kept that lottery ticket in his wallet. He had an exciting wallet, all manner of items he kept in it. It was, in a way, a mini survival kit, even containing a miniature deck of cards, a condensation of philosophy to be lived by, which the young man had put together, some fishing line and hook, and much more. Eska, oh. So, the lottery ticket lived in that wallet for many years. The young man finally had to clean out his marvelous wallet. Even though it was a large wallet, it was simply getting too full. The young man finally threw out the lottery ticket he had carried for so many years. It still bothered him that the absolute certainty had been wrong. He refused to believe it, even after all those years. More years passed. One day, he happened to be looking through a newspaper. Actually, he was packing a box. He wasn't specifically looking through the newspaper. He was packing a box and saw this, but never mind. Right? It's for the brevity of the story. He noticed pages and pages full of numbers in the newspaper. On investigating, he saw they were unclaimed winning lottery numbers. What? How could this be? There could not be that many lotteries, surely. I mean, these were pages and pages of numbers. It didn't make sense at all. How could people win the lottery and not claim their ticket? Eska, laughing my ass off. No way, hey, oh no. So the young man was completely baffled. He showed his heart. Together they read the accompanying article and figured out the mystery. Eska, and from the article, they deduced that all one needed to be able to get some reward was for only 3 numbers to match. Eska, laughy face, laughy face. Yes, Eska, you laugh, but yeah, we didn't know. So they were flabbergasted. Where they had come from, lotteries like this were illegal. The closest they knew were raffles at the school bazaar, where there always had only been one winner. Nothing on the lottery ticket itself had said anything about being eligible for prize if 3 or more numbers matched. Eska, but you had thrown it away. Yes, Eska. From the article, they deduced that their 6 numbers would have yielded a considerable sum, the equivalent of what they would have thought to win. Oh dear, says Eska. But on discovering this, they were not saddened. In fact, it made them happy. Their incredible adventures had been worth more than that substantial sum they might have collected. Eska, guess they weren't meant to win, eh? Yay, yes. And all that money could cause unpleasantries, or whatnot. Yay, I love the story. Yes, Eska. So, but even more, they were relieved, for they now realized they had won the lottery. Their certainty and knowing that they would win had been correct. This was huge. This was huge. It was a massive relief. Although that feeling of certainty had not come again, it didn't matter. They knew it could, and that, if ever needed, it would come again. Eska, yeah, true. So it was a powerful lesson, because despite their certainty, in the end, they had doubted. They had gone to the lottery venue. They had not gone to the lottery venue and insisted that they had won, despite what the TV said. They had not handed in their ticket to be checked as they should have, according to that certainty. They had succumbed to believing what they knew to be impossible had happened. It was an expensive lesson, but a profound one nonetheless. For they also learned that there are many paths in life, all of them magical if one undertakes them with the appropriate mindset and way of being. Making the best of one's choices always yielded positive results. And like with all the magical lessons they learned, they were immensely thankful and appreciative. The end. There's a little bit more chat here with Eska. But before I just read the little extra there, I just want to say that I didn't say it in this article because I wrote it a long time ago. But this is about believing we think we know how the world works, right? This is the profound lesson. At that time, we assumed we knew how the world works, that there's one winner to a lottery ticket, right? And again, like I said, most people who know about lotteries in America take this for granted. But Bina, you didn't grow up. Lotteries aren't there where you are at either, right? And so this was
Yes.
new. I know I've shared the story before. It was a new revelation for you too. Oh, you can win money if you match 3 numbers or 4 numbers or 5 numbers or 6 numbers. And likely,
Yes.
from what I've seen with later, like at a minimum, we would probably have won $100,000, if not multiple millions. It all depends on how the breakdown is, right? It varies quite a lot, but it would have been a way substantial amount of money. Even 100,000 at that time, this is 30 years ago now, right? Would have been winning the lottery. It would have been given us more than enough to start with, businesses and all that. Would have been a huge deal. But again, we thought we knew how the world worked. And that is the deep lesson, that in our naivety, we didn't know something. And the lesson is to always understand, no matter how much you do know how the world works, to understand that you are also naive about how it works. And constantly to be paying attention to that naivety. Yeah? Oh, what happened now? Where did you go? Yeah, right? To
Yes.
constantly be, and that was my dream last night, right? To be aware of, what was the word I said?
I don't remember right now.
It was all about being aware of our unknown truths, really.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and then it was a different word I used. It wasn't unknown.
Undiscovered, unrecognized,
Undiscovered.
undiscovered.
Undiscovered, yes. Undiscovered, that was the word. Undiscovered or unrecognized, yes. Both undiscovered and unrecognized truths. Now, this is very important thing to be aware that there are such things. In other words, our naivety, right? We were not aware that there were undiscovered truths. Had we been aware of this, we wouldn't necessarily have known that truth, but we wouldn't have been so certain that we knew how the world works. Yeah, despite the supposed obvious logic there, yeah, that we would have then said, there must be more to this, right? We're missing something. We didn't think we're missing something. We just thought we were, it didn't go the way we thought it was, and that was the end of story. And that certainty was our mistake. And on reflection of this over the years, and this has changed my life quite profoundly. And this concept of knowing or believing we know how the world works, right? We don't. And I repeat this regularly, right? We do not know how the world works. And I commented on this the other day in a profound way. I said that it's more, the quote is, I don't know how the world works. We have to make it personal. We have to make it personal. And that's very powerful. That's when we really come to understand this. I don't know how the world works. Then we keep having this openness and we make space for our naivety, even though we aren't naive anymore, because we weren't naive at that time. We were very sophisticated. We were practicing way of impeccability and awareness and strategy, and there was much going on in our lives. And we had much personal power, which enabled us to have that certainty and to make it happen. This is a sophisticated circumstance, sophisticated culmination way of being, right? But that one part was missing. And that's the point. There's always more, in other words, right? Just to read the last little chat there with Eska. So, Missy, your knowing you will win the lottery is not so silly after all, is it? This was the point of me telling her the story. Remember, she said that she has this knowing all her life that she would at some point win the lottery. So I told her the story to let her, because she said, you think I'm silly or others think. I said, no, Eska, no, yay. Well, I mostly play sweepstakes because they are free. Huh. The young man in his heart did win the lottery. They had been certain they would win the lottery, not certain we would collect. They sure did. How does the sweepstakes work? Well, I play online. I have apps. I win tokens that I use to enter for gift cards mostly. But I also play PCH. It's kind of boring and lots of ads. However, I'm an avid believer in giving the you many opportunities. This is what amazes me with Eska. That she will say these things in amongst sort of an ordinary thing, and then she throws in this profound point here, right? However, I'm an avid believer in giving the you many opportunities. And yeah, I don't buy lottery tickets to office, says Eska, because we just don't have the dollar or two too often, and I don't get that feeling yet. But when I do, I will. And I won small amounts. I just enjoy putting myself out there. So, well, as near as I can calculate, the ticket would have paid out a minimum of 100,000, but likely closer to 1 million being a mega jackpot or multi-millions. Eska, it's fun, and also I daydream about all the people I would help build new lives. It is the path for them and us. Wow, so amazing. So I love your story, and I would enjoy hearing more about your adventures anytime. Okay? Yes, Eska, I must come and join us on Zoom, and we'll tell you more stories. I'm going to tag Eska and a little later. So I figure in some way that money has been collecting interest somewhere, because the intent had been to invest it in property, a block of apartments to be exact. So somehow, in some way, there's this huge return on that investment waiting somewhere. This I know, I now know, or this I now know now. Sorry, this I know now. So it is all good. Nothing is wasted. Things just work out differently to how we expect sometimes is all. Yes? Yes, Bina? There's a picture of Bina there, maybe.
Yes.
See?
Yes.
Now, this for me, this story is all about this assumption that we know how the world works. And I don't mean it in terms of arrogance either. No, it is in a way, yes, but it also comes from making an effort to figure out how the world works, which certainly up to that point, I'd spent my entire life, every single second of every day. I mean, I cannot emphasize how much effort had gone into understanding how the world works. Huge projects of learning, everything was about that. Everything was about that. Yes, but I never thought of the concept of knowing how the world works, right? I just assumed the world works in a way, and I'd figure it out. And I did come to figure it out. Like, for instance, I had figured out how will and personal power works, which is why I could do that and why I could have that certainty at that time, right? It did come from
Yes.
figuring out. So I had partial knowing, but not all the way. I didn't have this idea of saying this is a constant moving target. Yeah, well, not that clear anyway. Right? It was there, but not that clear. Very powerful, very, very powerful end takeaway. And also when the impossible comes, do not just say, oh, let me accept this because it seems to be so. And just recently I've shared some stories, right, where something happened and I did something and then I did it again, which is the definition of insanity, expecting the same result. And I did it again, expecting the same result. And again and again and again. I must have done it, I don't know how many times. And in the end, I did get a different result. Well, it does not work the way we think it does. Yeah. I was in a situation where what was the obvious, logical, rational thing, I could not accept. The only option for me was the impossible. That was it. It was the only option. I had no other choice. And I insisted on it, and that's what happened. Right, Bina? You were there.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And just a smaller scale, yesterday, same thing happened, right? I mean, I clicked on the
Yes.
online link to something came and changed. It was a bit of a dramatic sort of, not calamitous, but severely impactful change. I clicked on the link to rectify it. It says, no, you don't qualify. Got on customer support. Okay, no problem. Here you go. Go figure. Again, see, I could have just accepted in the past. Well, there's it. It's hard fact. Like, why do this? It makes no sense, right? But now I do it, even though it doesn't make sense, because the world does not work the way I think it does. And of course, yes, we as the collective we of society, doesn't work the way we think it does. It's an incredible point. Every day, this is, yeah.
You reminded me of the story. There's a, okay, of course, it's a real character, but in Sufism, and especially Sufism connected to Middle East and uh, there was the character of a woman named Rabia Basri. She was at the city of Basra, the older name. Now I don't know the new or the recent name of that city, but she belongs to. So, and then that in the connectivity of her city, her name was Rabia Basri. Rabia Basri was a character like who was like people who just continuously highly focused on practicing spirituality.
Oh.
And she was doing that, and then she was the one who is famous for that. She says that I don't want the concept of Jannah, heaven, and the hell, because if I'm doing something good, and the greed of going into Jannah or heaven, then it's all useless. And if I'm not doing anything out of fear of getting burned in hell, then it's not a good thing. So she was very
Exactly.
quite revolutionary kind of a concept she had. One day she was sitting in her home, and then of course doing the meditation or praying, whatever. And a beggar or someone just come and knock on the door and ask that, okay, I'm extremely hungry and I'm in need, and I need food. And she had only two bread, flat bread, and she gave it to him. That person, when he was going, he says, okay, you gave me this, and there's a promise of God that it will give you back 10 times more. And she says, okay, I know that. And then, of course, she didn't had any food to eat. Someone, after a few hours, someone just come and knock on the door and says, okay, oh, there is a gift from someone anonymously, send it to you. And she just went out and she looked at it, and there were 4 flatbread. And she says, no, I don't need this. It's not mine. And she refused to accept it. And then it happens again. Every single time they were increasing something into this and a number of breads, and she was continuously refusing. And then the time came, there were actually 11 flatbreads, like 22 actually, like double. It was 10 times something. And then the number reached, and she says, now this is mine. And then he was saying, okay, why you were refusing it? You cannot eat this much. And she says, no, it's not about me eating wood, but it was the promise. How can I accept something other than what has been promised?
Say that again, please. How can I?
How can I accept something other than what has been promised to me, or what actually I have earned? This is or my intent. I'm just taking it in more abstract way, not going into the specifics of thing. But the real story is exactly like that. I'm not amending it. So I'm not changing anything into this. But this is how the story is, as far as I remember. And what you are saying, when once we set our intent, and of course, when we have like really super focused, this trust needs to be in place there, unshakable trust, capital T trust. And we must, okay, I don't know how to say that. How can we accept anything? How can we compromise on anything other than what actually we were intending for? Our trust needs to be that strong.
Exactly. 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 Our trust needs to be that strong. We cannot doubt. We cannot doubt the universe. We cannot. We cannot. Yeah. I've been a very reluctant believer in magic. Very, very reluctant believer. The
What
magic
magic is
of
actually?
that's what I was about to say. Not magic in the sense of abracadabra making it happen. Not like that. No. The magic that is the universe itself. The magic that's life. How is life not magical? It's an incredibly magical
Mm.
thing to me. Right? It's an impossibility, really. Yeah. The magic is, to me, it's that type of thing. The wonder, the mystery, the awesome of life. That's the magic of life to me. And
Mhm.
so, but what I mean is, as a reluctant believer in magic, in this idea that we can make things happen, that reality is essentially fluid, right? Because that's what
Mm.
magic depends on, right? I mean, anytime you have magic, you now have a fluid reality, because you can change what otherwise, according to science, is not changeable. Correct? The definition of magic, in a way. But in the sense of waving a wand and making spells and stuff, right? That, no. But it may be, because it's all about intent and it's all about personal power. The wand and the spell are just a mechanism for materializing an intent. Of course, this whole issue is very problematic, because if you go around wishing for things that are problematic and consequential and have implications, you may end up in a very complicated life and world. And there's unintended consequences to every single intent that you materialize, right? And therefore, any wish you make true via magic has consequences. Without impeccability, you're going to be in trouble very, very fast. Now, nonetheless, I was very reluctant to believe and feel that this is possible. And I think my reluctance is a carryover belief from deeper understandings from before, whenever that was. And so it's a caution, in other words, because now I am in a point in my life where I do see how this is working on a regular basis. But because impeccability is a default, these things are happening appropriately. And it's now about using this ability appropriately, not to go around and just be crazy with it, right? But also to get
Mm.
appropriate benefit from this. That's a hard lesson. It's a hard lesson to learn for somebody who's had modesty and conservative, humility all their lives, right? And to think that, just getting things for nothing is like a great crime. That's how I grew up. I lived my life most of that way. I say crime as a emphasis here, but getting something for nothing was like you say, oh, you just want something for nothing. It's almost an insult. But this is essentially what magic is all about, is getting something for nothing. But in a sense, everything in life is getting something for nothing, right? So it's all about perspective. But that was a severely curtailing belief. This idea that getting something for nothing was somehow wrong. And it's still a very prevalent belief. You look up the arguments against, for instance, universal basic income, and you'll see, oh, but they'll be just getting something for nothing, and that's not right. It goes against the moral grain for many people. Like, it's offended by this idea. Offended. Deeply, deeply and profoundly offended. Isn't that interesting, Bina?
This is very interesting. And
Yeah.
but for people who say that okay, oh, how can you get anything for free? I grew up like this, like always give more than what you are
You have
able
to
to
work for
receive.
it. You have to work for it. Nothing good
And
comes easy, right?
yes, there is no free lunch. American proverb
Exactly.
say.
There's lots of free lunches. There's tons of them.
Yes.
Oh, no, monsieur,
Uh,
no, monsieur, no, monsieur, no, monsieur, no, monsieur. Yeah, yeah. They
but
were
the
just slow.
idea
They
is
were
like
just slow.
what what actually we are asking here. Sometimes when anyone, I am just assuming that every one of us, whoever is listening, at some point in their life, they have done a lot and really did everything, but whatever they were doing and intending for, it didn't
No,
work.
no.
All energy, time, money, resources wasted into that. Nothing worked.
Yeah,
Like even
yeah.
just take the example of relationship. Some people just do everything, but it's still nothing. Or some business venture or anything this could be that you were putting everything, you were investing every bit of yourself into something, and then nothing comes out. What
Hmm.
about that? Do you assume that that universe is that really harsh, cruel entity or being who is just
Hmm.
going to just be ruthless and mean with some people, and there is nothing for them, whatever they were investing in? I don't think so. I don't
There's
believe in
always
that.
something that goes into your efforts.
So,
It's just that
so
our efforts
yes,
don't yield
sometimes,
the results that we expect. That's all.
sometimes it's you are investing your energies, efforts, and everything into something, but that is actually that doesn't mean to you for you, meant for you. And then universe give you something which you actually haven't done anything for. And then you say, oh my God, I was not expecting this. I haven't done anything. It just came out. People say like, oh, that person just hit a jackpot. Actually not. Nobody actually did. Most of the people, when at least in my experience, some point in their life they have done something, even if it is just a small gesture of kindness, but you don't know that how that kindness or just trivial gesture made a huge impact or actually changes the life of other person or make
Yes,
some good impact
yes.
in this world.
Seeds
that
of
that
goodness.
is that is something is there,
Yeah.
and universe wants to pay you for that,
Mm.
pay you back for that thing.
Yes,
And then you get
yes.
something out of it. That guilt we need to get out of it. It is just that this business is just a business. This business of life is just a
Ah.
busyness. We need to focus on that. Okay, we have done everything. Now the results and how universe
No,
is going to
no,
pay
no,
us. The universe is
no,
so creative, amazingly, superly creative.
no, no, no.
It will find a way to give things back to you. Yes, even when you have done everything and you no result, nothing. Yes, some lesson, but also at some point, if you are open, if you are receptive, universe will give you those all
Oh
those
yeah,
the
oh
payback
yeah,
for those energy
oh
and
yeah,
investment.
oh yeah. It's all
Right?
about appropriateness, in other words.
Yes. And also that there is nothing actually free. We assume that we are getting something free.
Yeah,
Maybe not in this life, maybe in some previous
yeah,
life, maybe
yeah,
in some,
yeah,
okay, in some other way with some other people, we
yeah,
have been doing a lot. And then of course we didn't get anything back. But
yeah,
now where we are not doing any, supposedly we
yeah,
are not doing anything, and we are
yeah,
getting so much out of it, it's not free. We
yeah,
have already paid for that. We have already worked for that.
yeah,
And it was spending, our debts were there, and now the payout is coming from the universe.
yeah. Patience, 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 trust.
I personally feel that we must not get into this guilt part. The guilt is actually resistance. Oh,
Exactly.
getting something out like, okay, oh, it's I don't deserve this, or it's not free, I haven't done
Yeah,
anything, I haven't done enough, and all these things. Remember,
yeah,
you have been doing. And even if you don't remember anything
yeah,
like really major, still you don't know that
yeah,
some gestures, some
yeah.
random act of kindness, it
Right,
changes a lot, and it's
right,
a trickle
right,
down effect
right,
and
right,
gives you so
right.
much.
Right. And also, it's the reason why you did things. You didn't do it for the reward. You did it because kindness and generosity is its own reward.
Yes,
Right. And this is an
yes,
important lesson, because it's like you started your story with, what's her name? Uh, the woman,
Rabia
Rabia,
Basri.
right. Rabia. She said that if you're doing things just for the reward or just for fear of punishment, then you have no morality.
Exactly.
Right. This doesn't make you a good person. No. If you're doing it to avoid punishment, that you're doing it to avoid punishment, not because it's the right thing to do. To do the right thing is independent of reward. And this lesson we have to learn first. Yes. Then we can start doing things for different reasons, right? If you start
Yes.
doing things for rewards first, you get into a contractual mindset, and you don't necessarily develop your ethical parameters, right? You don't develop morality. But when you develop your morality first, then whenever you do things for a specific reward, now you have your morality intact, and you don't get corrupted by doing things for reward only. Make sense, Bina?
Yes, absolutely.
Again, way of impeccability. It has to come first. Absolutely has to come first. Yeah.
Yes.
Very, very profound. Very, very profound. Um, this is a big point, and it's a bit of a revelation for me in a way, that I'm saying it now, but it's coming to me now. I've said it many times before, but it has a different context for me now. There's a deeper meaning to me, that we have to develop this. But in the context that we can, once we've developed the morality and the ethics, and we've proven to ourselves that those aren't just something we are doing as a temporary basis, that they're innate, they are part of who we are, that we cannot live without them, then we are free to pursue the usual material rewards, because they won't corrupt us. Yes? It's very easy to get corrupted by the pursuit of reward. Yeah.
Yes.
But it has to be a secondary issue. Yes, it's nice and it's fun, but it can never become the primary point of our lives. And therefore, we need to have this entrenched, innate, deep sense of pursuit of moreness, character, bigger picture, abstract understandings, etc., awareness, discernment, understanding, application, right? Then, when we have this as our default, then we can start to pursue rewards, because they're not going to corrupt us. Yeah.
Yes.
Which is exactly the situation we find ourselves in now, right, Bina?
Yes.
Wow. It's an amazing
Exactly.
thing.
Exactly.
It's an amazing thing. Absolutely, incredibly amazing. On that note, I'm going to end early today. So I want the story to be cohesive, right? Unless there's more takeaway that you have on it, Bina.
No, thank you so much for this. Because yes, exactly as you said, sometimes you need to just let it sink in.
Yeah.
Because as you get this more awareness of, or a new perspective, maybe. I don't know how to say this. But for me,
It's a new perspective.
I
Yeah.
got so much.
Oh, share what you got. Share
I
what you got.
I got so much clarity of this whole thing, this understanding. And sometimes all you need is just saying it out loud, what you are thinking and what you are actually having trust in. Sometimes you need this repetition. Sometimes you need to hear this in your own voice, with your own ears. Like, yes, this is what I am actually thinking about. Not only just to get the clarity or reaffirmation, but also when we say things open out loud and share with someone, we get more thorough. We become more thorough, more clear, more precise every single time it happens. Of course, it is always a room for improvement. But for me today, what happens when I was sharing with this, with you, and with, of course, with everyone, I was getting more and more refined in my understanding of how these things actually.
Exactly. It's why we are doing precisely what we are doing, and why our doing of it doesn't matter if somebody's here or not. Yes, we enjoy them. Like Norma, we love you being here. But Norma, we can do this without anybody. We don't have to have an audience. This is not for an audience, it's for us. It's for this exact point that Bina's making. When we share things and go over them, it changes us. We get to come to be more clarity. And when we are in a public environment like this, our impeccability naturally leverages us to be more precise, more detailed, more cohesive, more expressive, right, etc. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. It's not a simple thing. Bina, I'll give you an interesting takeaway. One you might be surprised to hear.
Okay.
I feel I am now in a position in my life where I can be appropriately greedy.
Wow.
Yes, wow. How about that?
Oh, that is something wonderful.
Isn't that something?
Yes.
Because normally greed, you say, yeah, but that's a negative thing. You don't want that, yes?
Yes.
And it's going to corrupt you and mess you up and all sorts of stuff. But that's my
Yes.
point. I can be
Yes.
appropriately greedy. What would that mean? That means I can pursue the things of greed and have the feeling of greedy and not have the negative, and have the rewards of greed without having the negative consequences that go with typical greed, right? So
Oh,
appropriate greed,
wonderful.
you see?
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Exactly. Appropriate greed is about getting the things that you are greedy for, but without those consequences that typical greed brings, right? Because greed is
Yes.
a very corruptive mindset. And that's why I'm calling it appropriate greed, which is basically you end up with the same things, but you don't end up with the same mindset, attitudes, beliefs, and consequences. It's an
Yeah.
entirely different thing, right? You don't get lost. Your greed cannot consume you. But appropriate greed I mean, to be greedy for something is kind of a fun thing in sometimes, right? Like you're
Oh,
greedy for a
yes. It
present,
is.
right? Right?
Oh, yes. It
You're
is.
greedy
It
for,
is.
I mean,
Yeah.
appropriate greed is a joy, right?
Oh,
It's
yes.
inappropriate greed, as is in everything. It's inappropriateness that's the problem, not the thing itself. Yeah. Very, very cool. Very cool. I'm so glad you were here, Norma. So glad you were here.
Oh, yes,
Very
Norma.
cool.
Thank you so much,
Very
and
cool.
love you, Norma. Love you.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
you are
Absolutely.
okay. Yes, as Sir was saying that, okay, it is this whole thing is not intending for having
Yeah,
anything, but you're always a bonus. You're
exactly.
always
Exactly.
something always like that plus
Yes.
that plus
Yes. Yeah.
positiveness there. You
Yes.
are the
Exactly.
one, you actually leverage our
Yeah.
trust
Exactly.
because we trust that they are people in this world who really want this and who really appreciate and
Exactly.
acknowledge this.
Exactly.
You are
Exactly.
actually playing a big, huge role, big, huge, positive
Yeah.
role in this
Yeah.
world, Tom.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why I'm always appreciative and always loving
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. You remind us that lovely people, beautiful people, they exist. They
Yes.
exist.
Yes.
Wonderful. Oh, look who joined us, Cheryl. Talking about wonderful, beautiful people. See, right on cue. Right on cue. Hello, wonderful, magical, marvelous Cheryl. I think, Cheryl, I might have told you the story about the lottery, but when I won the lottery, right? If not, well, it's probably good to listen to it again anyway, because the commentary on it is a little different to when I might have told you the story. I don't remember if I did or not. Cheryl, do you remember? Did I tell you the story about when I won the lottery? I think so. I really do think I remember telling you. Anyway, I'm thrilled to hear, Cheryl. I was thinking of you earlier today. I saw some of your posts. I said, man, where's that Cheryl? Where's that Cheryl? Yeah, yeah. Anyway, Cheryl, I'm thrilled. We signing off a little earlier today, and because I want to leave the story wrapped up and not start a new thing. So anyway, listen to the recording. Listen to the recording. It's a deep, profound story that ties into so many things, and particularly it's about capital T trust, right, Bina?
Yes. 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 Hello, Cheryl.
I I had
It's really
misplaced
nice to see
trust.
you. Missing you. Yes.
Yes, we miss you, Cheryl. We miss you.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So again, thank you so much. And I'm looking forward for tomorrow when we will read more story. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Not tomorrow, actually. Sunday. Sunday.
Time there.
Yes, because tomorrow we will not be here on live.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Sunday we will read story.
Oh.
Yeah, we are like, okay, yes, sidetracking, getting digressed and all that. But Sunday will
Yeah.
be the story time.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yes. Okay, thank you so much. Bye for now. See you soon
Bye-bye.
again. Bye. For now.
Bye-bye. 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 Bye-bye, everybody.